Hello everyone, this is a walkthrough session on how to file and claim input VAT on the updated Taxpromax VAT module. To initiate your filing, you're expected to click on login, and at login, you're expected to enter your login credentials, and upon login, all returns that are due for filing are usually dropped on the taxes due folder. Click on the taxes due folder, and this is the VAT returns that we're going to file. You click on process. Once you click on process, you click on the sales schedule. For this particular month, what we intend doing is to file and claim our qualifying input VAT according to the provision of section 17 of the Value Added Tax Act. To initiate your filing, you have to declare your sales first. We have already prepared our sales schedule, and if you don't know how to prepare it, you need to watch our session which will show you how to declare, how to prepare sales schedule for relevant months of return. For this particular return, the taxpayer has already prepared his sales schedule, and I'll go ahead and select my sales schedule for the month. I'll click on upload. You can see the system has already updated my sales schedule with the details in the sales schedules template. I'll select the currency. You can see that the total sales for the month is already here, 980, and the system has already validated all the names of the buyers or customers that bought goods from me. You can see this one is saying not found because the taxpayer does not have TIN, or the TIN is not correct. Any TIN that cannot be validated, you see the system saying not found, and the TIN or whatever you've entered here, you see it there. But for those ones that the TINs are valid, you validate the TIN against the name of the taxpayer, and you see their name showing correctly and their TIN showing correctly also. At this point, I'm satisfied with this sales schedule, and I need to click on proceed to take me to the purchases schedule. You can see at the purchases schedule, the system has already updated the purchases schedule based on the remittance or the sales details that my suppliers have remitted. So the VAT that you pay during purchases to your suppliers, once they file and remit, your purchases schedule will be updated automatically with all the VAT that has been remitted by your suppliers. You can see the supplier name, which is a Topo Energy PLC, their TIN, and the declaration that they declared about all your purchases that you made from them. For all vatable goods, you will see under the action, the claim button will be there. This claim button is available to enable you claim your input for goods and services which are termed as qualifying input in line with the provision of section 17 of the Value Added Tax Act. Any other component of input VAT that are not qualified to be claimed as input, it is expected that such items you don't click on the claim input, because if you do so, the tax office upon review and they discover that you're either supposed to have capitalized the VAT or expensed the VAT through your POL, and you fail to do so, will unclaim that particular amount, and the amount will be added back to your VAT form for additional assessment. So for all exempted items, the purchases details will be there as long as the supplier has remitted his VAT for the month. However, there will be no window for you to claim. Same also with the rated, because the item ab initio VAT was not paid on it. You also see that you cannot be able to claim it. At the end of the day, once, let's say you want to claim this particular input because it's a qualifying input for the month, you are expected to click on input, claim input, and once you do that, the system will grant you input to that amount, particularly input on this 700 naira. As many as as many transactions for the month, as many purchases for the month as are qualifying input, you're expected to click on each of the line items, which will enable you to claim your input. Click on claim input on each of the transaction lines that are qualifying VAT input, and the system will grant you automatic value, input VAT value for each of those line items. Once you're done with the claiming of all of your input for this particular month, you click on proceed. It takes you to sales adjustment schedule. There's another section for sales adjustment alone, and that section will enable us to see how you can adjust your sales in the current month. But since we're focusing on claiming of input, we'll proceed from here. You click on proceed. It takes you to the VAT form. You can see that the VAT form is pre-filled. You can see the domestic purchases 700 is here, and when you come here, you'll see that everything has been populated. The total output is 63.75. The total input for this particular filing, as you can see, which is line 150, is 54.75. At this point, if your input is higher than your output, the system will not allow you to submit these particular returns, because there is restriction to the quantum of input that you can claim. You can only claim input as much as purchases that are related to your sales for the month. Since VAT is no longer on accrual basis but cash basis, we can only grant you input based on what has been sold. Any item that has not been sold is expected to remain as an inventory in your books. But for input VAT or purchases that are translated to supplies to your customers, that is the highest that can be granted to you as an input. So in any month, peradventure, let's say your purchases for the month is higher than the output VAT, which is 63.75. You are expected to enter the closing balance of your purchases that was not wholly used in making VATable goods and services. These are basic bookkeeping procedures in order to enable the system know the quantum of unclaimed input VAT for the period, which will form part of the opening inventory for qualifying input VAT in the subsequent month's filing. So for this particular one, let's assume that about 25 naira worth of your purchases was not sold. It forms part of your closing stock. You enter your 25 there. If also you have part of your purchases of zero rated that was not used to make zero rated goods and services, you also enter the closing balances there, which will form the opening balance for subsequent months. Then for those who import goods and services into the country, also your import VAT can also be claimed through this point if you have paid some import VAT in clearing your goods or your raw materials for the production of VATable goods and services. You are expected to enter the value of the imported goods and services. Let's say the imported goods and services is 40 naira. Once you enter, the system will compute the input VAT as pertains to imported purchases here, automatic. And if there is the purchase import, that is the import VAT was not wholly used in making VATable goods and services, you're also expected to enter the closing value or the closing stock of these particular imports that were not used to make VATable supplies in this month. That having been said, this is the only place where you can actually manually enter any figure, because this is basic bookkeeping procedure which only the taxpayer is expected to carry out in the course of filing of his VAT. Once you're done with the reconciliation of your closing stock or closing inventory for all of your purchases that were not used in making vatable supplies. You scroll down and you see here that you have 10 naira 0.88 to pay. That is output of the total output of 63.73 minus your VAT of 52.88. You can see your total VAT due now is 10.88. The system has automatically granted input VAT on this particular filing, and at this point you can declare, you okay it, you submit. Once you submit your VAT, at this point you can select which payment gateway you want to actually use to pay your VAT, and have it at the back of your mind that your sales is also another customer's purchases. So your client's input VAT is dependent on your payment of this particular filing. If you don't pay this amount, your customers will not be able to get their input VAT in return. And we emphasize that taxpayers declare and provide all the relevant details of all their customers, including their team, on a line-by-line basis. File, declare, and pay. It is through that cycle that the system will be able to build the purchases schedule of your respective customers. And that's the end of the workflow or the walkthrough on the updated Taxpromax value-added tax filing module, in which you have seen how to claim input VAT. Thank you.